At my own wedding, my wife's relatives humiliated my mom before 201 guests. They told someone, "She's not a mother. She's a disaster wearing a dress." My bride laughed. I didn't. I stood up and canceled the wedding on the spot. Then I took action. By the next morning, their entire world crumbled because. Okay, settle in. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's not just a story, it's the day my entire world turned upside down. Can you imagine standing at the altar, about to marry the woman you love, only to hear her and her family absolutely tear down the one person you cherish most, your own mother? And then, to top it all off, your fiancé laughs along with them. What the hell would you do in that situation? Because what I did next, well, it changed everything. You know, people say I'm composed. My name's Dylan. I'm 31, a stockbroker. I grew up with a nurse for a mom, working night shifts, and a mechanic dad who taught me to read numbers like a second language. I don't drink before noon. I check futures before coffee. I can quote earnings calls like they're song lyrics. But that day, composure was a lie. It was my wedding day. Black tux, slim tie, these little chrome cuff links from my dad's old toolbox, polished so clean you could see the ceiling lights in them. My mom was sitting in the front row, wearing this beautiful navy dress she'd saved up for. Her hands, those hands that have lifted more patience than I can count, were smoothing the skirt, and she looked so nervous, so proud. I kept looking at her, trying to steady myself. A server brushed past with a tray of champagne. Laughter rolled from the cluster of Lana's family near the aisle. And then, I heard that laugh. High, sharp, unmistakable. Her mother's. And then the words, cutting clear as a bell right through the soft violin music that was warming up the room. "Look at that one." Lana's aunt sneered, not bothering to lower her voice one bit. "That's not a mother. That's a mistake in a dress." My spine went cold. Just cold. I turned, slowly. They weren't whispering. They weren't even pretending to. And there was Lana, my fiancée, right there with them. She pressed her lips together like she was trying not to laugh. Then she actually laughed. A quick, bright burst, like someone popping a balloon. My mom heard it. Oh, she heard it. I watched her smile slip, watched the corners of her mouth just sink. She looked down, like maybe the fabric of her dress could just swallow her whole and make her disappear. I didn't think. I just moved. The wedding planner's face blurred past me. The violinist stopped mid-note. I walked straight up to the DJ booth, my heart hammering, but with a calm I absolutely did not feel. I took the microphone. I could hear my own breath, loud, echoing in the speakers. "Hey," I said. My voice was surprisingly steady. "Before we start, I need to say something." 201 heads snapped towards me. Linens rustled. Lana's father folded his arms across his chest, like a referee waiting for a foul. I looked at my mom, then I looked at Lana. "If you can laugh when someone calls my mother a mistake," I said, every word carefully articulated, "you don't get to be my wife." Lana's smile fell so fast it looked rehearsed, but in reverse. Her mother hissed, "Don't be dramatic." I set the mic on the table. The thud echoed through the stunned silence. "This isn't drama," I told them, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's a boundary." I took off the ring, the one I hadn't even placed on her finger yet. I put it next to the mic. "Ceremony's off." Someone gasped. Someone else clapped once, then stopped abruptly. The violinist cleared his throat. My mom covered her mouth with both hands, her eyes wide with shock. The room tilted, and then it just went quiet. I walked towards the exit, past centerpieces we'd argued about, past the cake I'd paid for, past faces that would become stories. Lana called out to the room, more than to me, "He's overreacting. He'll come back." But I didn't. I opened the door. Cool air, an empty hallway. The smell of kitchen garlic and fresh flowers hit me all at once. I just kept walking. My phone buzzed in my pocket, the group chat lighting up like a Christmas tree. My head was buzzing louder. I didn't check any messages. I found a quiet service corridor, leaned my forehead against the cool wall tile, and just breathed. I thought about my mom's hands. I thought about every overtime shift she'd ever pulled. I thought about that laugh, like a match head igniting everything I thought I knew. And then, I thought about money. Not because it was first, but because that's how people really show you who they are. I met Lana 3 years ago. Her startup needed advice on a friend and family route. She liked that I knew what a COVID-like clause was, and that my shirts didn't wrinkle when I took my jacket off. I liked that she was fast. Fast to text, fast to laugh, fast to plan a future like ordering tapas. One of everything, we'll figure it out. Her family, though, they were different. Loud dinners, opinions like salvos, jokes that were only jokes until you asked them to stop. It was this whole, we say everything to your face, culture, which really just meant they said whatever heard and called it honesty. The first time Lana's mother met my mom, she actually said, "You work nights?" How quaint. Then she winked at me. I told myself it was just tone deafness, not malice. And that, you see, becomes a habit. You start sanding the edges off people until they fit the picture you've already hung on the wall. I paid for things because, well, I could. The venue deposit, the photographer, the florist who only took meetings at 6 a.m. on Tuesdays. Lana and I agreed we'd keep finances separate until after the wedding, but my card ended up on everything. I didn't mind at the time. Love makes you generous. It also makes you terribly slow to take inventory. There were so many little red flags that looked beige in the right light. Her brother, at Thanksgiving, asked if I could park 10 grand in my account for a day or two because his limit was being weird. When I said no, he laughed like I'd told a joke and said, "You're the Wall Street guy? Move some numbers." Lana smoothed it over. He's kidding. He wasn't. Her dad liked to make speeches about how real men provide, and family is an ecosystem. Every single speech ended with him handing me the check at dinner, not for me to sign, but for me to put my card down. The first time, it felt like acceptance. By the 10th, it felt like a tax. Then planning got tight. We had a spreadsheet. We had tabs. We even had a calendar invite called Final Budget that pinged and instantly gave me a headache. Lana wanted the string quartet, the donut wall, the fog machine for the first dance. I just wanted to get married without taking out a loan. We compromised by me paying for everything and calling it a team effort. My mom, bless her, she just kept quiet. She'd show up to fittings with granola bars and safety pins, taking up the hems that were too long. She'd sit on a bench under harsh department store lighting and say everything looked beautiful. Once, in the car, she quietly asked, "Are you sure they like you?" I said, "They love me, Mom." She just looked out the window and didn't answer. And now I know why. The week before the wedding, things got meaner. Lana's aunt sent a photo in the group chat of my mom's dress from a fitting and wrote, "Cute. Is that from the clearance rack?" Someone reacted with a laughing emoji. Someone else said, "At least she won't outshine the bride." I typed 3 different replies, then deleted all of them. I just told my mom the group chat was muted. 2 days before, Lana called me at work. "My dad's friend can hook us up with an investment property if we wire $50K before month end. It's not a big deal. Paperwork later." I said no. She went quiet. Then, "You don't trust my family." I said, "I don't wire money with no paperwork." She hung up. An hour later, she texted me a heart. Then another message. "Could you at least upgrade the bar package? It's embarrassing." Embarrassing. The words sat in my chest like a rock. The morning of the wedding, I woke up early, checked futures, checked my tie, checked on my mom. She sent me a selfie. Her in that navy dress. Hair up, eyes a little watery. She wrote, "Proud of you." I wrote back, "Wait until you see the dance." I meant it. I wanted that day to be clean. Then the comment. Then the laugh. Then the mic, the ring, the door, the hallway. In that corridor, my phone buzzed like a hornet's nest. "Lana, first, come back. You're making a scene." Then her mother. "You apologize to me and my sister, or we'll be seeking compensation for the embarrassment and the venue costs." Her brother. "You owe us for flights." Her dad. "This will be an expensive mistake." I stared at the screen, and I thought about the invoice spreadsheet I'd been meticulously keeping on my laptop. I thought about the retainer agreements, the contracts with my name on them, the chargebacks I could file, the caller ID history that looked like a timeline of who thought I was a wallet. I put the phone away. I went back inside, but not to the ceremony. I found my mom by the bathrooms, dabbing under her eyes with a folded napkin, like she could erase the scene if she pressed long enough. "I'm sorry," I said. She shook her head. "Don't you dare apologize for me." "I canceled it," I told her. She swallowed hard. "Good." We stood there in the hum of the HVAC, the distant clink of glasses. "Go home," I told her. "I'll handle the mess." My mom squeezed my hand. Her touch was firm. "It's not a mess, baby. It's a beginning." I nodded, not quite believing it yet. Then I started making calls. The point wasn't the insult itself. It was the laugh. The point wasn't the money. It was the math of respect. I called the venue manager first. "Contract holder is me," I said. "Ceremony is canceled. Please hold any refunds for the card on file. We'll need to itemize damages." I emailed him from my phone, standing in a stairwell with a mop bucket and a stack of folded linens. I attached receipts. I attached screenshots. People act different when you have your paperwork ready. Then I called the photographer. Per clause 7B, deliver only the images of my side and neutral shots. Do not distribute a gallery link to the bride's family. I'll pay the balance now. I paid. I called the florist. Pick up the arch at 5 p.m. and send me the fee schedule for restocking. Do not release anything to anyone without my written approval. I called my bank. Flag any charges from vendors not on this list. Decline additional bar upgrades requested today. And then, I called my apartment building. Please add my mother to the guest list. She's staying with me. Between calls, I walked back through the ballroom. People had scattered into groups. Whispers. Lana was at the head table with her parents, fingers flying over her phone. Her mother saw me and stood up, like she'd been waiting to pounce. You humiliated us, she spat. You humiliated my mother, I countered. You said it was a joke. No, I said, looking her dead in the eye. A joke lands on yourself. An insult lands on someone else. Lana said, her voice suddenly soft, a tone I'd seen turn knives into spoons with servers and clerks. Dylan, can we talk alone? In a minute, I said. First, your mother needs to apologize to mine. Her mother laughed, without a shred of humor. We don't apologize for jokes. Then you don't get access to anything I paid for, I stated calmly. Bar, DJ, bus, nothing. This event is over. Her dad stepped in, jaw tight. Son, I'm not your son, I interrupted, my voice even. And for the record, the deposits are mine. The contracts are mine. And the card is mine. He blustered something about reputations. I didn't hear the rest because a server tugged my sleeve. The DJ wants to know if he should keep the equipment. Pack it up, I said. Lana grabbed my arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. If you walk out now, nobody will ever forget it. If I stay, I said, looking at her, really looking at her for the first time in a long time, I'll forget myself. That was the breaking point. Not because it was loud, but because it was quiet. I set the rules down like you set down a plate, so it doesn't break. And I walked away for the last time. In the parking lot, a groomsman asked if I was okay. Not yet, I said. He offered a ride. I drove, I told him. I watched a white limousine pull up, stop, idle, then turn around. The driver got my text. One less thing for them to weaponize. I got in my car, closed the door, and let the silence be heavy. Then I drove home. To set the rest in motion. People think aftermath is fireworks and sirens. It's actually passwords, PDFs, and the ping of emails going exactly where you planned them. I sat at my desk, tie loosened, jacket on the back of the chair, and I got to work. First, money. I closed the joint wedding account we'd never really used except for show. Balance, 12 cents. And a feeling. I filed chargebacks on any last-minute upgrades that had hit my card since Thursday. 2 had, both requested from a tablet the venue keeps behind the bar. Easy to prove, easier to reverse. I sent the screenshots to my bank's concierge team with a short note. Unauthorized by cardholder. Wedding canceled due to defamation of family member. Supporting documentation attached. Dry words with a sharp edge. Second, contracts. I sent a formal notice to the venue, citing the clause that transfers control to the payer in cases of event cancellation. I CC'd my attorney. I CC'd Lana, not to taunt, but to timestamp. You learn in markets that timing beats noise. Third, narrative. I'm not a poster. I don't live in public. But I also wasn't going to let a single group chat recycle me into the villain of a story I paid for. I wrote exactly 3 sentences in the family thread that had been blowing up all afternoon. Event is canceled. An apology to my mother was requested and refused. Refunds due will be handled by me as the contract holder. I disabled replies. I left the chat. The silence felt like moving out of a house while everyone else was still sleeping. My phone lit up. Lana's name. Then her mother's. Then a string of unknown numbers. Then a text from her brother. You're done. People will hear about this. Let them, I thought, and opened my email instead. There's an unromantic folder on my desktop called Wedding Docs. Another called Lana Family. I didn't make the second one on purpose. It had grown over time. Screenshots of jokes, invoices I hadn't meant to keep, a PDF of a loan agreement her dad sent me once with my name typed into a signature block without permission. There was also a photo. My mom sitting on a bench outside a bridal boutique while Lana and her mother posed in a mirror, cropped to exclude her. I'm not a revenge guy, but I am a boundary guy, and boundaries without enforcement are just wishes. So I enforce mine. With paper, I drafted a letter. Simple, professional, boring on purpose, to whom it may concern, due to slander directed at my mother at a public event on date, I have canceled the ceremony. As contract holder and payer on accounts listed, I will coordinate refunds directly. Do not contact my mother. Any further communication should be directed to my counsel at email. I attached a separate letter for that loan agreement, notifying them that any signature used without consent constituted fraud and that any attempt to submit it would be met with immediate legal action. I CC'd the family lawyer whose card I'd been handed at a barbecue with a wink. Send, send, send. Then I did what most people forget is an option. I took care of my mother first. I ordered her dinner delivered from the place she likes. Lemon chicken, extra sauce. I texted, eat, hydrate. We'll watch the dumb singing show at 8. She sent a heart. Nothing else. That said enough. By 7 p.m., I had 8 voicemails. I listened to the first two. Lana, if you don't come back and fix this, no one will ever work with you again. Work with me? As if weddings are networking events and my mother is a prop. Delete. Her mother. You will reimburse us for our humiliation. We have receipts. I smiled at that one. Me, too. I said to my empty apartment and dragged the folder called Receipts onto the external drive I keep for things I never want to lose. By 9 p.m., new email started. The venue. Per your notice, we've halted all service and are preparing a reconciliation. The DJ. Equipment retrieved. Invoice attached. The florist. We've restocked the arch at a partial credit. Statement attached. The photographer. Here's the download link to the RAWs you requested. I will not share with third parties. A weight I hadn't even named started to lift. You don't notice how heavy some people are until they're not sitting on your chest anymore. At 10 p.m., my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Two men I didn't recognize. Suits too shiny. I didn't open it. They left a manila envelope wedged between my door and the frame. Inside, a letter on a template I could have drafted in my sleep. We represent the family of Lana. Your conduct today inflicted reputational harm and financial loss. You are hereby demanded to compensate the following. They'd itemized flights, a hotel block they hadn't paid for, a hair/makeup deposit, and my favorite, emotional distress, always hard to audit. At the end, a demand for $75,000. I wrote a number on the top of the letter, $0. Then I wrote another, the actual total I had paid to date. Venue, DJ, band deposit, florist, rentals, transportation, the cake, the tuxes I bought outright because their rental plan was a mess. It was higher than $75,000. It was a number that had once felt romantic and now felt informative. At midnight, my mom called. I can't sleep, she said. Me neither, I told her. Can I say something? Always. I didn't raise you to be a doormat. You did right. Her voice wobbled a little. I'm sorry your day was like that. Me, too, I said, staring at the ceiling. But it's still my day. Then keep it, baby, she said, her voice firm again. Don't give them the rest of it. I turned off the phone. I turned on the dumb singing show. I watched people in sequins sing songs about surviving the storm. I laughed once, a real laugh, when a judge cried at a key change. Then I fell asleep on the couch in my tucked shirt, tie undone, the ring box on the coffee table like a paperweight holding down a life I wasn't going to live. Morning came like it always does. Unremarkable, merciless, clarifying. I made coffee. The grind sounded like rain on a tin roof. I opened my email. There were 3 messages that mattered. 1, from my bank, chargebacks approved. Temporary credits issued. 2, from the venue. Per your contract rights, we are returning the balance after fees to the card on file. We will note that the event was canceled by the payer due to harassment of a guest. We will not provide statements to third parties. 3, from a compliance officer at a brokerage I used to cover as a sell-side analyst. The officer wrote, we have received a complaint referencing your name and supposed misconduct. The attached screenshots appear to be fabricated. There were images attached, a fake text thread between me and Lana's brother, implying insider trading. The kind of Photoshop job that only fools people who want to be fooled. The complaint had been submitted from an email address that included Lana's last name. That was the moment their world started to tilt. I replied professionally and forwarded the whole thing to counsel with a note. Add defamation to the file. Seek preservation of metadata from the platform and the sender. Then I sent a separate email, quiet, polite, to Lana. Please advise your brother to cease any and all references to my work. You are placing yourself in criminal exposure. This is not a bluff. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up with a number I didn't know. I let it go to voicemail. It was her dad. We don't want war, he said. We want a settlement. I poured more coffee. You had a settlement, I said to the mug. It was called respect. I sent one last email, a tiny, one-sentence request to the photographer. Please send my mother the 2 photos from the bridal boutique, where she's in the mirror. The reply came with a link. There she was. You couldn't crop her out of this one. By noon, the story they'd been telling themselves started to fall apart. Friends reached out. Heard what happened. We've got your back. The violinist texted me a link to a video someone had taken of my little speech. It wasn't online, thank God. But in it, my voice didn't shake. My hand didn't tremble. I looked like someone I recognized. Then my doorbell rang again. This time it was a courier with a small box. The ring. Lana had mailed it back with a sticky note. Return receipt. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a note like a receipt. I signed, closed the door, and finally exhaled. Like I meant it. People want closure to be a grand gesture. Sometimes it's a spreadsheet you don't have to open anymore. A week later, I met my mom at a diner we used to go to after her shifts when I was a kid. She ordered pancakes with strawberries. I ordered eggs and the kind of coffee that tastes like it was brewed in a steel boot. We sat by the window. The sun hit the Formica like stage lights. "How's your heart?" she asked. "Less noisy," I said. "How's yours?" "Bruised," she said. "But proud." She smiled in that tired way nurses smile when they've seen the worst and still show up. "You protected me. You protected you." I nodded. "I thought love would make it all make sense," I said. "Turns out, respect does that. Love without it is just a costume." My phone buzzed once on the table. An email from counsel. Settlement offer withdrawn by their side. Reason: mutual decision to disengage. Translation: they realized the billable hours would hurt more than my speech did. Good. Another email from the photographer. The final album, my side only, as requested. The first photo was my mom tying my tie and both of us pretending we weren't emotional about it. The last one was a photo of an empty aisle with flower petals scattered like confetti for a party that didn't deserve them. "What will you do now?" my mom asked. "I'm going to work," I said. "And I'm going to visit you on your day off and fix the leaky sink. And I'm going to stop pretending that people who don't respect me are complicated instead of just cruel." We ate. We didn't talk for a while. It was a quiet that didn't hurt. That afternoon, I called the venue and told them to donate the leftover flowers to the hospice ward at my mom's hospital. They sent a photo later, a row of vases in a hallway where people learned the shape of endings. It felt right. Something beautiful salvaged from something ugly. Lana texted me 2 weeks after that. "We should talk." For closure. I typed and deleted 3 replies. Then I wrote, "We had closure. It happened when you laughed." I blocked her number. Not to punish, but to stop a door from swinging in an empty frame. Months went by. I slept. I lifted. I took my mom to a matinee on a Tuesday because we could. When markets were bad, I didn't look to someone who despised me for comfort. When markets were good, I didn't feel the urge to buy forgiveness with a nicer bar package. And then one morning, my inbox pinged with a note from a client who'd heard the story, third hand. "You kept your boundary in public," he wrote. "I want a broker who will do the same when a boardroom gets ugly." He moved his account to me. It wasn't about the commission. It was a reminder that the world doesn't end when you do the right thing in front of people who expect you to fold. The last piece arrived quietly. A plain envelope in my mailbox with no return address. Inside, a handwritten apology on lined paper, shaky pen strokes. "Dylan, I'm sorry for what I said about your mother. It wasn't a joke. It was cruel. I've never been good at apologies. I'm trying." Lana's aunt. It didn't fix anything. It didn't have to. I folded it, put it in a drawer with the cufflinks. That same day, my mom texted me a photo of the flowers at the hospital, with a caption that read, "Your mess made their hallway beautiful. Here's my closure." Written in words simple enough, I don't have to reread them to remember. I will never stand next to someone who laughs at my mother. I will never buy my way into a family by financing their disrespect. I will not let love be an excuse for erasing myself at the door. I'm Dylan. I didn't get married that day. I got something else. A life with a lock on it, and a list of names who keep keys only if they earn them. And for once, I didn't have to check a chart to know I was finally, truly, in the green. So, tell me, seriously, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done right there at the altar? Have you ever had to choose between love and self-respect in such a public, painful way? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know what you think.